JP Morgan's desk and what we see coming across the economic spectrum, they expect prices to go up by up to 20% in the next 8 months. That is going to be a huge dig into the American pocketbook, and you might start seeing people get desperate here inside of the country. People are on the edge right now. They're not thieving because they can still get some sort of welfare or afford to feed their children. They can keep the power on. If prices go up another 20%, crime is going to increase too, because desperate people do desperate things. There's not a mother or father inside the United States of America who would not do things to protect their children, including going out and getting what they need. Corporations know this, and so they're starting to institute extreme levels of artificial intelligence to start to gauge and monitor every person who walks through their doors. You're expected to be a criminal before you're ever given the chance to show you are not one. Taxes are going to increase. We're going to see a lot of big things happen in the bad states. I've got a rhyme here. Tax his land, tax his bed, tax the table at which he's fed, tax his tractor, tax his mule, teach him taxes are the rule. Tax his work, tax his pay, he works for peanuts anyway. Tax his cow, tax his goat, tax his pay.
Use Hydro Boost Water Cream, 9 times the hydration for replenished, dewy, glowy skin. Grab at your nearest store today.
Then tax his coat, tax his ties and then his shirt, tax his work and then his dirt, his tobacco and then his drink, tax him if he tries to think. Tax his cigars, tax his beers, tax him, he'll cry taxes tears. Tax his car and then tax his gas, just find any way to tax his. Tax him all he has and then you'll let him know that you won't be done until he has no dough. When he screams or when he hollers, tax him more, take all his dollars. Tax him in his coffin, tax him in his grave, tax the sod on which he's dead and laid. Put these words upon his tomb, taxes drove me to my doom. And when he's gone, then don't relax. It's time to apply the inheritance tax. I think you can see from that short 30 seconds that we are taxed every possible way by the U.S. government. We are not a free country, people. We are an indebted servitude. Kim Jong-un has called for unlimited nuclear expansion. He says that a thermonuclear war with the United States is on the horizon. They must have, without limitation, rising nuclear powers and capabilities. They have criticized, together with Russia, the U.S., South Korea, and Japan, for their cooperation as a threat to peace. They have accused the USA of using Ukraine as a proxy for military intervention against Russia. They did not address the North Korean troops in Ukraine, but they followed calls to get nukes ready for war. Armed rideshare. So you know Uber, Lyft, all of those? Well, there's an armed rideshare. It's called Black Wolf. It's expanding to other states across the USA. So basically, you call an Uber guy. Well, if you're Uber, you get into your Uber car, and then the other guy gets in there, and he gives you some violence, or he attempts to steal everything you have, take your girl, whatever it might be, take your kids. The Uber is just going to pull over and get out and run. These are armed Uber-like ride shares. Black Wolf is a service offering armed drivers. So if you don't think America's changing, think again. It's launching in Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Unlike Uber or Lyft, it gives passengers...
Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor to the due to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Yours in the gospel, brother, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the spirit. It says breaking news, martial law drones up, migrants on the move, huge police warning, get ready now. That's this full spectrum survivor. He puts out some pretty good content regarding particular current events and things that's going on within the government and certain how can I say it, certain events that's taking place on the world stage, as far as war, martial law, economic crisis, etc. And he was going into the account of how these agencies are increasing their police presence because, the oppression of the people. And once you study ancient Rome, people started to rise up against the government because they were being taxed to death. And that's the same thing in Rome 2.0. I'm noticing as well, in a lot of these cases, a lot of these hearings, you know, because I believe about a month ago, one Jake choked out a social worker over his daughter's child support case because, you know, basically, I believe they were trying to deprive him of his rights to see his kid. So he took matters into his own hand and he choked that demon right out, which, you know what, I ain't mad at him for it. You know, more you devils and you demons need judgment put on you because you're literally playing with people's lives, man. And people are pretty much fed up with the bullshit, especially these state attorneys, man. You know, which I'm pretty sure they get hate mail all the time. But anyway, there has been a police presence built up in these particular agencies, state agencies, government agencies, because, you know, people are to the point, they're tired of the bullshit. They're tired of being taxed. You know, like when you go into the Josephus, it goes into how you had certain sect of Israelites that rose up against the government because, you know, the taxes and the oppression, which that's, you know, that's off because the scriptures say, don't avenge yourselves. But these people are getting ready to rouse up, man. Okay, if Trump don't come in and deliver on his promise, we can see full-fledged collapse by next year, Lord's will. And that's the spirit that martial law was in the air because, I mean, this is going to set the stage for 2025, man, because, hey, Trump, with this task force that he mentioned, he was going to get the particular forces of the military, particular police agencies to go ahead and round up migrants. And a lot of you migrants are residing in Jake communities, man. And this is why I said migrants on the move, because a lot of migrants as well, they have plans to fight the government because they said, well, look, we gonna put up a fight. We're not gonna roll over easy if you come in and you try to deport us. So you have a lot of tension building up, man. And you know, Yahweh Shai, he's not gonna let this thing continue to blow over even further. All right, the Lord is getting ready to make his judgment and do what he have to do. All right, because there's another article too that I was really reading into, and it says here, South Korea president declares emergency martial law, sending shockwaves across the country. So that could be another lesson, but this time he's focusing on people, and you know what, it's really around the same thing because it's still martial law. So you know what, that can still be within the same lesson. Just for time's sake, wanted to shorten it, but it could be like a part 2. All right, but anyway, let's get a couple of precepts, and then I'm gonna go into this article as well, because I mean, we in those times, and Yahweh Shai warned us of these times because tensions are building up. People are sick of their officials. People are being ripped off, and on top of that, to fund this war, you know, taxes are getting ready to go up. You know, Trump is talking about giving tax cuts for the rich, even though he don't directly come out and say that, but he's, you know, for most of the time, these Republican leaders and these rich Democrats, they always including tax breaks for their subjects, so to speak. All right, so this is the book of 2nd Ezra 6, and I'm gonna start at verses 22, and it says, and certainly should the sown places appear unsown. And the sown places is talking about your economy, okay? Your economy, your stores, your venues, your banks. Okay, everything is getting ready to come over into a digital currency. You see, so that way they can just deduct the money off your chip and be done with it. You know, they don't have to track you down and serve you subpoenas because you're running from them. They can just, if you want to grid, they can just deduct money from your account through your CBDC, which we believe will be the form of the MOTB. Okay, and Lord's will, that mark of the beast commences quickly. Okay, because with that being said, all hell will break loose once this dollar collapses. And the dollar literally have, the days of the dollar are limited. I'll put it to you that way. But it says, in the full storehouses should be suddenly found empty. You know, your stores. This is why you have stores going out of business. You know, like a couple of years ago, in the midst of the retail apocalypse, you lost Payless, Shoe Source, a lot of JCPenney's, a lot of Macy's, a lot of these department stores and closed down. Sears, you know, which Sears been around since the early 1900s. But yet they've closed their doors permanently because, you know, hey, they don't have the sufficiency to increase in profit. And on top of that, you have the likings of Amazon, you have Walmart, and you have all these wholesale stores that sell these goods at a cheaper price. So you're literally putting these big Fortune 500 companies out of business. Okay, but it says here, and the trumpet should give a sound, And when every man hear it, they should suddenly be afraid, because they're going to force this thing through military action. Because like I said, these government officials, they're getting afraid. So now they have to deploy their Gestapos or their Gestapo troops or their police force in order to protect their best interests, because people are coming for their head, man. You know, like right now is not the best time to be a prosecuting attorney or a state's attorney or a judge over a civil matter or a criminal matter. It's not. It's really not. It's really not a probable time to be in that occupation, because you know people are really fed up, man. And one tip over the edge, they're just gonna lose it. But it says, and they should suddenly be afraid. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, and the springs of the fountain shall stand still. In 3 hours they shall not run, all right? Because we're coming to a complete shutdown. When bureaucracies will fail, all right? And when these bureaucracies fail, then you women, you are in a world of hurt, because you can't hang the support system over the man's head anymore. And it's to the point he's going to come for you, and he's going to want to do something strange to you, man, to say the least, to keep it PG. All right, because like I said, man, you know, people, they can't afford to live no more. Okay, this last 4 years have proven to be one of the hardest times in history, because inflation then went up, okay, almost to the point of Great Depression numbers. Even though in the Great Depression, you know, you had civil unrest to some degree, but hey, this was pretty much like a modern Great Depression. Not as severe, but nonetheless, those days are coming when those days will be shortened. And it says here, and whosoever remain from all these that I have told thee should escape and see my salvation at the end of your world. And that's actually talking about the elect, because we understand that the elect will prevail through all odds and all tribulations, man. All right. So anyway, this is another article here. It says South Korea president declares emergency martial law, sending shockwaves across the country. All right. So let's see what he got to say. That's if it plays.
Looking after our minds has never been more important. That's why at Rome, we're working with the NBA to inspire mental fitness in everyone.
Law in a late-night TV address. New video here of that announcement made by Yoon Suk-yeol on national TV just after 10:30 in the evening. In his address, he said the move was necessary to protect against North Korea's communist forces and to eliminate anti-state elements. Well, CNN's Mike Valerio joining us now from Seoul. Mike.
Well, Becky, I can tell you I ran over here to the Bureau. I live just a couple minutes away. We are in the heart of Seoul, and police are on their phones calling each other, calling families and loved ones, asking what is going on. To say that this has thrown the country into disarray is perhaps the understatement of the evening right here. As you mentioned, an unplanned televised address saying that martial law is needed in this bastion of stability in East Asia in order to weed out the country of pro-North Korea, quote unquote, pro-communist forces. Certainly, the government of Yoon Suk-yeol, conservative politician here in South Korea, very weak since he was elected into office several years ago. The opposition now, the leaders of the opposition forces heading to parliament a couple kilometers away from where we're broadcasting at the moment, saying that this is an illegal move and doing what they can in the next few hours to reverse this. So Becky, the country finds itself in a state of martial law for the first time since the era of military dictatorship ended in the 1980s. And what we are trying to figure out is how exactly declaring martial law forwards the goals that the president set out in his speech of trying to weed out anti-North Korean and anti-communist forces. He told the nation and told members of the National Assembly in his televised address that the government that he presides over has been, in his view, paralyzed with opposition forces, members of the National Assembly, trying to impeach him and trying to impeach several ministers in the government. But why exactly the opposition forces trying to exert their constitutional power has led to this historic move in an instant, that is what we are all asking ourselves. So there are.
So that's even a division among Moab, man. Okay. And like I said, man, the powers that be, they're running scared because they know that they're getting to the point they're getting fed up with the injustices. And guess what? Martial law is getting ready to be over here in America. Okay, because let's just say if DJ Trump gets assassinated and don't take office, what the hell you think these Edomites gonna do? Okay, they gonna take it to you, man, and they gonna target you jakes. All right. But anyway, it says, in a surprise announcement, he cited a motion by the opposition Democratic Party, which has a majority in parliament, to impeach top prosecutors and reject governmental budget proposal. But soon after, South Korean lawmakers voted to block the martial law decree, with 190 of the 300 members of parliament voting to overturn the measure. But with the National Assembly chairman, Woon Sik, labeled the president's announcement invalid following the unanimous vote and called on him to immediately lift the emergency measures, man. All right. So basically, they're trying to avoid it. But when you go down here, it says he described martial law as a necessary measure to eradicate these shameless pro-North anti-state forces. He justified the decision as essential to protect the freedoms and safety of the people, to ensure the country's sustainability and pass on a stable nation to future generations. All right. Now, when you look up, hold on. You look up martial law. Look up the definition. And it says martial law involves a temporary substitution of military authority for civilian rule and is usually invoked in time of war. Okay, and really, America is a police state. Okay, we've been a police state since what, 2001? Since the time of Nueve Once, when the elites brought down those buildings. Okay, it wasn't no damn Arabs that did it. It was Esau that did that. To blame it on the Arabs, to be justified on staging a war on TERROR. Okay, which was to extract resources from sovereign nations. That's all that was about. And a lot of you jarheads in the military enlisted to defend so-called country that sent you over there to die. All right, show how wicked this place is, and it has to be destroyed. There's no remedy for it. But it says rebellion or natural disaster, but when martial law is in effect, the military commander of an area or country has unlimited authority to make and enforce law. So basically, the military becomes a new form of government. And this is why they tell you when you have some type of natural disaster or you have something that's looking grim for the sustainability of the monarchy, then they say that we need to, my job, or they say something to the likes of they need to establish some type of continuity of government, meaning to control the people. And in 2012, if you watch that movie with that guy Chiwetel Ejiofor, and basically when he was telling them about the pole shifting, the Edomite guy that was working for the Department of Defense or whatever government agency he was working for, he was telling him that he needs to maintain a form of government, and government means mind control. And that's all it is. And people, they're going to get to the point, they're going to be like, fuck you, we ain't dealing with this shit. People going to start boycotting their jobs. They're going to go after the managers. They're going to go after their bosses. They're going to go after their baby mamas. People are going to go after these attorneys, these judges. And believe it or not, a lot of these judges be getting put to death too, even though they don't really tell you. But a lot of these dudes be crashing out, man, because there's no justice that's being served, man. Okay, like the scriptures say, there's no justice in the land. All right. Matter of fact, let's start here. Let me find it real quick. Hold on, Slocky, give me a second. I'm trying to find a precept. Yeah, well, let's just go here. Proverbs. Yep, Ecclesiastes 5 and 8. That's not the one I was looking for. But it reads, it says, if thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, which a province is pretty much a state. It says, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regarded, and there be higher than they. So the Lord is going to ultimately defend the poor, man, which is our people. Okay? But, hold up. RV or pervert. Scriptures goes into pervert judgment. Job 8:3, it says, do the Most High pervert judgment, or do the Almighty pervert justice. All right. But, what's the point? Damn, I can't seem to find. I can't really word it. I'm thinking of it, but it's just not coming out. But anyway, Salakia, the Spirit didn't want it to come out. But anyway, let's go from here to the book of Luke 19. And I'm going to start at verses Luke 19. And we're going to start at verses 40. This is in the New Living Testament. It said, but as he come closer to Jerusalem and saw the city ahead, he began to weep. How I wish today that you of all people will understand the way to peace. And he's talking about Israelites, which is a cut to you Christians, because he said you of all people. It says, but now it is too late and peace is hidden from your eyes, because, I mean, they already got provisions to come down on you Jakes, man. Okay, this is why they're doing away with, like with the whole Bible sales and everything. Bible sales that went up 22%. People are getting afraid because, we in those times. But even then, you got guys that's siding, well, kind of neck and neck with the enemy to bring judgment upon us, because the Vocab got a show coming out titled Terrorist was arrested for watching Hebrew Israelite videos. So you see where they're trying to sway this thing. All right. But anyway, and it reads, it says, before long your enemies will build ramparts against your walls and encircle you and close you in from every side. They will crush you to the ground, you and your children with you, and your enemies will not leave a single stone in place, because you did not accept the opportunity of your visitation. So this is talking about when the troops come in. And believe me, they will establish this new world order by military violence. No ifs, ands, or buts, man. Okay, go back to the Third Reich. Go back to Stalin's execution squads. Go back into history regarding the Third Reich, and you will see that, hey, they use military intervention. And this is why you have what they call Rex 84 and now Project Megiddo, which is pretty much all one particular project now, because it deals with rounding up people that can impede on the government. And they did a survey. They said over 40-some% of people stated they wouldn't have a problem with insurrection on the government because of injustices, man. And you state courts, you're gonna get it the worst. All right, because the state literally oppresses the people in federal, but the state act in jurisdiction of a federal government, and they have no jurisdiction over people. But anyway, Luke 21, and I'm gonna start at verses 20. It says, and when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you will know that the time of its destruction has arrived. And in this case, Jerusalem is talking about the Israelites, okay, because we know that our land has been overrun with Gentiles, heathen. And it reads here, and it says, and when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you know that the time of its destruction has arrived. And in those days, and then those in Judea must flee to the hills. Now, this is talking about 70 AD. But it says those in Jerusalem must get out, and those out in the country should not return to the city. It says, for those will be the days of Yahweh's vengeance, and the prophetic words of the scriptures will be fulfilled. But how terrible it will be for pregnant women and for nursing mothers in those days. For there would be a disaster in a land and great anger against his people. And they would be killed by the sword or sent away as captives into all the nations of the world. And basically, this is where we at now. And Jerusalem would be trampled down by the Gentiles until the period of the Gentiles come to an end. All right, and we in that time that the Lord is getting ready to do away with the heathen in our land, okay? But it says the armies being surrounded, okay? So Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to send military action into these cities, man. And honestly speaking, I can't wait, because, I mean, there's just going to be a time of all hell breaking loose, because people are gonna declare war on the military, man. All right, they're not gonna just let martial law come and bully them down the street. People are gonna take up arms and fight, okay? Because this is the pent up aggression they have against the system. But you Jakes, hey, when they see you, hey, execution time. Because really, the target is you. They just need to figure out how to do away with this Constitution completely And before you know it, hey, you'll see a battering kicking down your door, man. What they call a battering ram. You know, what they use to raid drug dealers at 5 o'clock in the morning. They use those big battle rams, and they'll basically burst inside your house, man, and lock you up and beat the hell out you. Second Ezra 15. Now I'm going to start at verses 15. It says, for the destruction draw at nigh, one people should stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands. This is talking about civil war. For then there should be sedition among men, invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of that act shall stand in their power. So they ain't gonna give a shit about no goddamn judges or no mayors or any of that state's attorneys. They're not gonna care about no damn presidents in that day. They're like, fuck that, man. You didn't push this. And people are already here, man. And it says, for there to be sedition among men, invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of that act shall stand in their power. And a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. For because of their pride, and the city should be troubled, and houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. So this is where we at, man. Okay, any day now, Lord's will, 2025 be the year that this bitch finally rolls over and die, man. But anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you were edified. Until the next lesson, Shalom.
Here's the options of choosing a driver with security training and firearms, one who prioritizes the safety of the package, basically the people involved. Founded in 2023, Black Wolf already operates in 12 cities, has 300,000 often users. Drivers must have military, law enforcement, or security experience. The vehicles must meet strict requirements. The prices on the rides depend on the duration and the distance and where they're located. You want to go into the ghetto? You better get your Black Wolf. They're both armed and premium non-armed options available, just in case you've got a little Susie Q in there that thinks guns are scary. Haitian immigrants are fleeing Ohio, according to reports. They're witnessing a mass exodus of Haitians into neighboring states. The community there has been accused recently of eating pets, doing all sorts of crazy things, stealing things like pool noodles. Who steals a pool noodle? Well, if you come from a country where
lights are going up, snow is falling down, there's a feeling of goodwill.
They suffer nothing but destitution, that pool noodle looks mighty valuable. Local advocates say that there's been a sharp decline in residents who have been accosted, violently attacked by individuals. Now I've got a message here from RFK. He says, why are there so many pharma ads on TV? It's not to sell drugs. A TV news president admitted to RFK Jr. that any host allowing him to speak negatively about Big Pharma on air will be fired because that's where the advertisement money comes from. Jaws dropped, according to the Pharma Insider. They told Tucker Carlson the news ad spending from